Good afternoon. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Ken McKim of the site DontPunishPain.com, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about a book that I've been reviewing chapter by chapter. I've been basically going through it over on my YouTube channel. The book is called The Happiness Trap by Russ Harris, and it's interesting. It's basically a branch of therapy called ACT, where it teaches you to more fully accept your thoughts as being nothing more than thoughts, to help you counteract what a lot of people experience in their lives in the form of negative self-talk, basically. So it was referred to me by a very good friend of mine, and she just mailed me a copy of the book. I just woke up one day and there it was in my mailbox. Well, okay. So I thought I would give it a try. So I've been going through each chapter, and as I work through the various chapters, I do a video about what he's teaching in that chapter, and I tell my viewers about it. And I don't know, maybe some of them are following along at home. And yeah, basically I just thought it would be a fun little experiment. So I don't see that there's anybody here yet, so I'm just going to go ahead and talk for a little bit. If someone that actually joins in the live stream at any point and has a question, I'll do my best to go ahead and answer those. I'm going to assume that everyone can hear me. If there is anyone watching, haven't seen any chats come through saying, hey, can't hear you or anything, so I guess that's probably a good sign. So yeah, anyway, my experience with clinical depression has been that for the last, well, okay, basically all my life, I've always operated at kind of a low level of depression, and that's largely been unmedicated for most of my life. So although I personally happen to believe in better living through chemistry, and I'm a full endorser of taking medication if it helps you, I understand that other people are looking for other ways to address their problems, whether it's with depression or anxiety or what have you. And so I'm always kind of keeping my eyes out for new things to try. And that's where this book kind of comes in. So in the first couple of chapters, he talks about a technique called diffusion. And what how he sets it up is he explains that when you have a thought in your brain, whether it's a positive thought or a negative thought, ultimately what you need to remind yourself of is that thoughts are nothing more than words, okay? And what are words? I mean, really, if you break it down, what is a word? A word is a bunch of letters, okay? So break it down one step further then. What are letters? Have you ever even thought about that, really? What are letters? Letters are symbols. They're little scratches that humans made at some point in our past as a way of communicating thoughts and ideas. So letters are nothing more than symbols. So when you're having thoughts in your head, you're basically just seeing nothing more than drawings. They're just symbols. They convey meaning that we have assigned to them, but that's it. That's all they are. A lot of people, myself included, when we're dealing with our depression and anxiety, and we start getting these intrusive thoughts in our heads, we make a couple of knee-jerk reactions, mistakes on how we process our thoughts. A lot of times we tend to just assume that those thoughts that we're thinking are true. And they're not. In a large part, a large number of the thoughts that we have are nonsensical. They don't mean anything, and they have no basis in objective reality. And this is where it gets hard for people who suffer from clinical depression and anxiety, is our brains are not operating the way a person who doesn't suffer from depression, the way their brain would operate. Whereas their brain is probably very good at distinguishing when thoughts that pop into your head are total crap and don't mean anything. Someone with depression and anxiety will be more likely to give the benefit of the doubt to the thought. So we end up in this vicious cycle of negative self-talk that just reinforces itself the more we repeat it over and over in our heads. So Russ Harris in his book talks about ways to what he calls diffuse those thoughts. So it's a way of stepping back from the thought you're having and giving yourself some mental space, some distance from that thought. It's a way to remind yourself that this thought you're having isn't the truth of who you are as a person, but rather it's just words made up of letters which are nothing more than symbols for ideas. Not every idea is true. So one of the techniques that he talks about is reminding yourself that your thoughts are stories by saying that. So let's say you have the negative thought come into your head, I'm a fat slob. So one way he suggests of dealing with that thought, and to remind you that it's just a thought, is to put the words, I'm having the thought that, in front of whatever the thought is. So in this case, it would be, I'm having the thought that I'm a fat, lazy slob. Just putting those words in front of the thought reminds you that, oh, I'm having this negative thought, but it's just words. It's not the truth of who I am. He also suggests maybe saying, reframing the thought as, oh, it's that story again. And so in this case, it would be, oh, it's the I'm a fat, lazy slob story again. Because again, thoughts are words, and words are, in the end, nothing more than stories we tell ourselves. So I thought those were both interesting. I don't tend to actually use those two techniques very much. I've tried it, and they're okay. I think of those two, I probably use it's the blank story again. Because I've noticed that since I've been doing this, I tend to tell myself the same negative stories about myself over and over again, that I'm a failure, and that I'm not that I'm not doing enough with my time and not managing my time well, that kind of thing. So then I say, oh, well, it's the I'm a failure story again. Oh, hi, Happy Life. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining me. That makes sense. Adding the words, I'm having a thought of reminds us it's personal stories and thoughts, but not necessarily facts. Exactly. That's exactly what he's trying to convey there. So, I happen to use the it's that story again narrative, and that does seem to help. More often than not, I find myself defaulting back to the funny voice option. So in that instance, what you do is you take the negative thought that you're having and you repeat it back to yourself in some sort of a funny voice. It could be a cartoon character, or a relative who has a particular funny voice. Anything, it just has to be humorous. That's the thing. Or it could just be absurd, I guess. Like you could repeat, I am an ugly slob, in Darth Vader's voice inside your head. And the idea, again, is just to give yourself the distance, that instant to recognize that this is just a thought and it doesn't affect me at all. I tend to use the Darth Vader voice. Always makes me kind of smile and grin when I use it. And then if you're old enough and you remember Looney Tunes cartoons, I will often use Elmer Fudd as my negative thought narrator. And you can't take the thought seriously, no matter what it is. It's really hard to take a negative thought seriously if it's done in Elmer Fudd's voice, or Darth Vader's for that matter, or even whiny Luke Skywalker. God, he's whiny. Anyway, so I tend to use that technique more than the others. It's easier for me to conjure up any number of humorous voices to repeat my negative self-talk back to me. Cartman is another great example from South Park. Yeah. So people at work probably think I'm strange because I'll just randomly be chuckling quietly to myself because I have a problem with intrusive thoughts. So yeah, so that's basically the first couple of chapters of this book, the happiness trap. Have really been concerned with getting yourself accustomed to using diffusion tactics to give yourself that space from the negative thoughts, and also he really drives home the point that acceptance of the thought is the key to this type of therapy, the ACT that he's talking about. And for that acceptance, he wants you to know that acceptance doesn't mean just taking it. It doesn't mean that you just, turn the other cheek and let life beat the crap out of you. But rather, acceptance of your circumstances, whatever they happen to be, as whatever they are, allows you to stop worrying about it, I guess, is his point he seems to be trying to make. So by accepting your reality as it is, instead of wishing it was something different, or dwelling on how much you would choose something else to be happening at the moment, as soon as you accept your reality for what it is, at that point, you can then start to move on because you've given yourself the space in your own head to do that. When we spend a lot of our time fighting against negative thoughts, trying to push them back with positive thoughts. So let's say, for example, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, God, I suck at my videos. I don't get any better. I've been doing this for 4 years and I don't think they look any better than they did at the beginning. I don't have that much more, larger of an audience. I'm failing all over the place. Now, I could spend a lot of time trying to counteract those thoughts with, positive thoughts, sitting there arguing with myself, in essence. Oh, no, that's fine. No, you're completely wrong, and here's all the reasons why. Harris thinks that that's a waste of time, basically. ACT doesn't want you to focus on fighting back against your own inner monologue, because then you're still giving it power. You're still engaging with it. And so he's suggesting these diffusion techniques as a method of getting yourself to a place of acceptance with your negative self-talk. Because the way he described it is, it's the difference between actively going to war with a country that you're not a fan of and genuine peace with your neighboring country. Whereas if you're engaged in all-out war, you're using a bunch of your own resources, you're not taking care of other things that need to be taken care of in your life when you're sitting there constantly battling your own brain. Where real peace is where you acknowledge that, yeah, you're gonna have bad thoughts, you're gonna have negative emotions, you're not going to have the best day ever every single day of your life. Acceptance means that, oh, that's okay. I get it. I don't like it. I don't like having the negative thoughts in my head. Maybe I don't like where I'm at right now in my life, but I accept that that's where I am. So now I can stop thinking about it and do something to maybe change the road I'm on. It's all about redirecting your attention and your energy so that you're not just constantly in this pitched battle with your own brain. At least that's what I'm taking away from it. I could be completely wrong. I don't know. I'm not the author of the book, but that's what it's meaning for me. That's what I'm taking away from it. So yeah, that's fun. Sorry about that. There was something on the lens. Acceptance. I think the hardest part is comparing to others. Right, exactly. You are where you are, and let's move on from here. That's true. I mean, comparison is another area that I fail in. That's a very good point. Yeah, I'm always comparing myself to people that I grew up with, went to high school with, who, from all their Facebook statuses, of course, are living the best life ever, because it's all we share on social media, right? We don't share all the crap, all the crud. We just share the best parts, the perfect Instagram pictures, all of that good stuff. So yeah, I do that, and I agree completely. Happy life. That's yeah, comparison. That'll get me down quicker than anything, I think. So now, I don't think that any of this is going to be a cure-all. I don't expect that by the time we're done reading this book together that anyone's going to be cured of their depression or their anxiety. I'm hoping that it gives me some tools that I can use to live a little less cluttered life inside my own brain. I know I have a chemical imbalance, and I'm taking medication, and I found a pretty good combination that's working so far. But there are days where it's not a matter of diffusing negative thoughts. It's just that I started off the day up here, and then within the matter of a space of 30 seconds, my mood has dropped to where I feel like sobbing like I'm at a funeral. And nothing to be done about that. Certainly for me, none of these techniques in that instance are going to matter at all, because it's not a matter at that point of combating negative self-talk. It's just my brain got stupid all of a sudden and dumped all the chemicals out, and I don't want to talk to anybody. I just want to weep on the couch. So in those instances, I don't think any of the techniques that I've learned so far in the book are going to be helpful. But yeah, for just the day-to-day getting through life kind of thing, I'm hoping that this is going to work well. And he hints that there are more sophisticated techniques to come in the later chapters, so I'll be sharing that with everybody as well. So thanks for joining me, Happy Life, here on this. I'm trying this out because I heard about this site, the Zubia thing, through a group that I was part of, and they were reaching out to creators and stuff saying, hey, would you give our site a shot? So I don't know if I end up getting a lot of feedback from people, and people end up liking these and the attendance goes up, then I might continue to do these. I'm definitely going to do 3 more, and then we'll kind of see where the numbers are there. But anyway, that's it. I promised I was going to keep this to 20 minutes, so I'm going to do that. I actually just finished filming and editing my newest video on the Happiness Project review, and I'll upload that later on this afternoon, so look forward to that as well. If you have any questions, you can send them to me, Ken, at DontPunishPain.com. And thank you, Happy Life. I look forward to sharing as well. And thanks for joining me again. And to anyone else who might be watching after the fact, thanks for stopping by, and I'll talk to everybody later. I'm Ken. You take care, and remember to be good to yourself. Take care. Bye-bye.